Shall we cheers?
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers, my love. Woo.
Cheers, cheers.
Okay, so, Danny, first question. What are you currently harping on about?
Oh my God. Well, I have this great friend, she says ping pound pom, which happens to be you, Hayley Reeve.
Yeah, yes.
What am I harping on about? I feel like getting a lot of questions about, because I'm a filmmaker, and like diversity initiatives and stuff like that, and something I keep reiterating to people is that I'm just really tired. I get a lot of like fatigue from like diversity fatigue. So like a lot of people I talk to, it's just something I feel like I'm constantly reiterating, like in terms of my words and my language. That's how I'm feeling at the moment in terms of all of that.
Because you experience that kind of in your day-to-day, do you find your background and where you came from and all that kind of really influence you as a filmmaker now?
Oh my God, yes. So I'm Greek Australian, but my family's, you're talking about culture, right?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I was like background, career. But so my family come from Samos, so we're technically like Samian Greeks, which is, no one would understand what that is. But so I grew up actually running away from it a little bit. I felt, I went to school in Punchbowl in Sydney, which was actually like very multicultural, but at the same time, I don't know, I kind of felt like I was ashamed of having Greekness. And I don't know why that was. And then eventually I went to like a very like poshy white school in Ashbury. And then, I've been running away from it my whole life. And then it wasn't until like my 20s where I had a really, really great acting teacher at my drama school who's sadly passed now. His name's George Ogilvie. He's directed one of the first like Mad Max films. So, and he just said to me one day, he just sat me down, he was like, you need to look back into your culture and look back into the films that they make, because everything that you are is there. And so from that moment, that just inspired me to like reconnect and just redefine what it is, because I've not lived my parents' life, I've not lived my grandparents' life, but I'm diaspora, so I'm in between. So how do I redefine that in my work? Because I've got to find those stories to tell, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I remember I had like a teacher, like I was doing like an English essay or like a short story or something. And I remember writing about being a German in like having cancer as a kid. And like completely nothing like what I'm like, but my imagination was going like wild. And then like I remember my teacher was just like, you can't, like you can tell these stories, but these are not the stories that you should tell. You should like tell your upbringing, because you'll have such a rich understanding of what you can bring to your writing, and that's stuck with me ever since. And that kind of sounds like the similar thing that you've experienced as well with that teacher.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, like I have told like my grandparents' stories or that era, but my lens in the world is very different to them, because I always think about like they sacrificed so much to migrate to this country, and you know, they came on a boat for like 30 days, and my dad was a like 4-year-old child at the time from Greece, and he got horribly sick. And anyway, it's like a movie, their journey. Like you could film their whole journey of how awful it was. And I'm like, I don't have that trauma. Like I don't have that experience. But in some way, I do feel a responsibility to still tell that story. But I can't keep telling that story for the rest of my life. Like 100%. I've got to find, stories like through my lens. Yeah,
that's so cool. No, I find that really interesting. And did you find, because I actually don't know this, so anyone that doesn't know, me and Danny are really good friends, and we met at a writer's retreat last year at Cinefest and WIFF. But I don't know, did you start acting or did you start writing first? Was there like a film or a role or a book that was just like, I want to be an actor, I want to be a writer?
Well, I was actually a dancer first.
No way! Oh my God, I had no idea.
It was really, so
ballet, tap, jazz.
Not so much ballet, jazz ballet, if that's the thing. Looking back, I wish I'd like tried actual ballet. But no, it was more jazz tap. I did a bit of hip hop.
Yes, queen.
Yes. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and so I love dancing, but then that whole world just became a little bit toxic in terms of like the competitiveness, the body image. And so I just didn't really felt like I really fit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I think I was like maybe 8 years old or something, I did a drama class, and it like, I remember walking out and being like, what is this? Like my mind was just blown. And so, because my mum had enrolled me in a drama class, and then, and then it wasn't until like when I was in year 3, I had a really good performing arts teacher in my primary school, and she was like, you should apply for Newtown Performing Arts School for drama. Having like Greek parents as well, they were like, no, you've got to go to a selective school, you've got to have a career that is stable. But I ended up getting into it, and so from then I found just my love of drama, and then I did a bit of both. Like I acted, but then we'd also like devise work, so we put that writer hat on as well. So definitely I came through acting, but I was always also writing as well. Like I remember on some family holidays to Queensland, I would be like in my car on the trip, like on the way, like writing my first like adventure novel. But I would never finish the chapter, but I would like start with an idea. So I feel like they were both happening simultaneously at the same time. Yeah.
It's like almost that, because I don't know, I feel like almost writing kind of sneaks up on you in a way, and you're just like, wait, I am now a writer. Yeah. But it's kind of like, if you trace it back, it's always been there. But just in like maybe other ways of how like, you know, like maybe poetry, or like, you know, you in Queensland on a holiday, like writing like little short stories kind of thing. So I always find that really interesting. And so you went to drama school, or like was it drama school or like primary school kind of thing?
So normal like schooling, so primary, high school, and then I went, after that I went I actually did uni for a year, something entirely different.
What was that in?
International studies.
I could see you doing that, but you're definitely like, it's kind of interesting how you can use that in your acting and your writing as well.
Well, it was international studies, and I was learning Spanish at the time. I think I had this dream of going overseas on exchange and speaking Spanish and traveling, and I had a love for language. But then I knew deep in my heart that I wanted to go to acting school, and then did the whole like rodeo of auditioning for so many schools, and then I got into ACA, which is in Sydney. Yes, and did that for 2.5 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until after I got into writing.
And then, so you went to ACA, and then you went straight into AFTRS? Was there anything? So what did you do in between there?
No, it was a really big gap between ACA and AFTRS. Ooh. Yeah, as every unemployed, insecure actor, I was a waitress. But at the same time, I set up my own indie theatre company as well.
Girl, I don't know anything. I don't know any of this about you.
I know.
First the dancing, then the theatre. I know there was like theatre in like some capacity, but I didn't know you started your own theatre company. Yeah. All right, tell me about this.
Yeah, I founded it with some other people that I went to drama school with, and actually from Perth as well. There was a few Whopper grads.
Oh, amazing! Yeah.
And they're all doing amazing right now. And we called it Edgeware Forum because we used to meet like every fortnight and do play readings together, and the street was called Edgeware. So, and then we had an idea of wanting to put on like indie shows and French shows, and it actually it became quite successful. Like one of our biggest shows was Slut by Patricia Cornelius.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and we got nominated for a Sydney Theatre Award, so it was
Queen.
So it was good. So I did a lot of theatre, and just tried to like stick my toes into film as well. Like did a lot of shorts as well, and because I didn't have an agent for like years as well, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put my head down and like find myself and find my voice. Yeah. So
amazing. Yeah, that's so interesting, because I always find like as actors, you can definitely see that you have this period of like really like annoyed with the audition process. Yeah. And I find some actors definitely get to the point of like, okay, well, you know, screw it, I'm actually going to do my own thing.
Well, yeah.
So I definitely feel, so that was like, you want to do theatre and all that kind of thing, and maybe all of you coming together. I could so see how that, again, affected you as a filmmaker now.
Yes.
Which is so amazing.
Yes, yeah. And I think I also slowly realised like I didn't belong anywhere, like as an actor. Like I didn't really fit in. I was never your polished Greek girl that some Australian films would cast.
Yeah.
Which was like, I don't know how to describe it, but the way I can describe it is I just have memories of girls in my childhood, my cousins or whatever, having just like straightened hair and just beautiful faces and like makeup and whatever, but just look like just, I don't know, that typical idea of a Mediterranean Greek girl. And so like I never really fit in, I don't know, when you look at the casting, like you see a lot of beautiful Greek women on screen throughout history and stuff in Australian cinema. So I never really fit that. And and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna invest in my family stories and in other women's story that I know, and find, like, have a voice, have something to give, you know, rather than take.
Amazing. So you've done the theatre company.
Yeah.
So what, was there like a moment where you felt like you transitioned from, you're like, this is no longer working, or was there something that kind of stopped the theatre company?
Yeah. I mean, with that, it was no longer working because we were all wearing so many hats. Like we're all producing at the same time as like directing or casting or acting in it and everything. And actually a lot of my friends went to London.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so, and they were big musical theatre buffs, so they went, and so there was just a natural split, and it was like a natural end. I for a while like wanted to find my community of filmmakers, and so I went to ACE in Parramatta in Sydney, which is called Arts and Cultural Exchange, a non-for-profit arts organisation, but they support a lot of Western Sydney voices and emerging filmmakers there. And I signed up for like a pitching workshop one day. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about producing, but let me try this. And they were looking for like TV series or web series concepts to pitch. And I remember overnight, I was sitting in my attic at home. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to pitch. And that's where I came up with the idea for Curse of the Virgin.
And what year was this?
This was like 2017, I think. 2017. Oh my God, wow. I feel so old now.
It was literally like 7 years ago.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. Yes, 2017. And then I ended up winning that pitch competition.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, and it was front of like, industry.
Yeah.
Well. And then, because I did not expect to win, because I had no experience. And then that was kind of my first moment of going like, maybe I can do more behind the camera as well. Maybe I can be a creator. And from then, that's when I started to develop that idea. And then a few years later, I applied for AFTRS. And I actually applied for producing and screenwriting at the same time. And I got in for both, which is so funny. And then both my teachers at AFTRS had to try and convince me to choose them over the other. But I always knew I wanted to improve my writing craft because producing is so stressful. But I just love character and writing. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to commit to the screenwriting. And so that was in 2019 as COVID hit.
And how did you feel like AFTRS, like looking back now, is there like maybe 2 or 3 qualities that you've used throughout, like in your day-to-day that you kind of refer back to and be like, hey, actually this really helped me and where I am now?
It's a great question. I think I always say this to people. So AFTRS taught me how to have a work ethic with writing, because like even though I had worked a bit in the industry before then and understood how intense it was, especially on production in like 12-hour days, and I was in script departments and stuff, AFTRS kind of gave me my at-home work ethic, because it would be like every week or every 2 weeks we had to submit like 10 pages of a draft, 20 pages of a draft, another beat sheet, like another concept. Like it was so intense, and it was during COVID, but naturally I had nothing else to do, so it was perfect timing. So it helped me develop that as well. But then at the same time, it gave me a lot of tools and techniques, like with any kind of institution, but it didn't give me the heart, if that made sense. Like I had to go off and find that myself. Gave me the brain. And then another thing AFTRS is really good at is when you're doing a master's there, they make you do what's called an exegesis.
What, sorry?
I feel like I cheated the system a bit because I, hadn't done a bachelor's degree beforehand, but I got in on merit. So I got a master's and I was like, what are all these university terms? So just like, but it's essentially you come up with a question, like a thesis, and you interrogate it. But it had to be like film world related.
Is it similar to a dissertation?
Similar.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And so it required me to go and like do a lot of study into like, film theory and articles and all that kind of deep thinking that, as any cinephile would love to do. And I did something which I enjoyed so much, which was I studied anti-heroines. So, and I always think about anti-heroines now in my career because I see it come up a lot in writers' rooms. I see the characters they're trying to make. And it's like those like morally flawed women that you love to watch and behave badly. So that is something I go like, because I spent that time at AFTRS, I'm always thinking about that now.
And did you find, because you said how AFTRS gave you the brain, but you needed to go and find the heart. Did the anti-heroes kind of have something to do with that? Like what was your journey? Where did you find the heart?
So it kind of started with making my short, Gorgo. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit tricky, the development process with my short with AFTRS, because there was a lot of like cultural elements to it that some people understood, but other people didn't. And there were moments where the script changed a lot that I was writing. I probably did about like 10 drafts.
Amazing.
But because I was listening to feedback from people there that was not helpful. So I then decided to, both my director and we decided to, okay, let's go and work with someone else. So I worked with like a script editor outside of AFTRS. Jess Redenbach is her name, and she's amazing. She's like a showrunner and done a lot of great stuff. I just remember my first time just going to her house, and she sat me down and just like asked me why I'm doing the story, why is it important to me. But she really encouraged me she's like, as a writer, when you're with a story first, you need to shut out everybody else's voice and create like a sacred container. And so that idea just stuck in my head ever since, like sacred container, like what does that mean? And she was like, and essentially it's like whatever you need to get into the writing process is about finding that heart to start your work. So it could be like, start off with journaling, because you don't always feel great when you start writing. Like sometimes you've had a shit day and you're like, fuck, but I have to write. So, but she just taught me to connect to myself first before I start. So I do a lot of journaling. I'm a bit woo-woo, so I have tarot cards as well, and I do like a bit of a reading for my characters actually.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me that process. So you shuffle the tarot cards, but do you like channel the character?
Yes, I do.
That's amazing. The protagonist usually.
Yeah. So when I'm character building, I like to have a bit of support, or I like to feel like I'm listening to my characters, like I'm not generating them, like they are generating the story. Yeah, and so usually like I deal with archetypes, and so I think of qualities my character might have, and I would do a reading on that. I was like, okay, what are 3 qualities my character has that drives them through this story? And that's what I would do. And I would do these rituals, I think, is to answer your question. I would find these rituals that would give me heart to the process. And I do a lot of free writing as well, which is like just stream of consciousness, because you can get really stuck in your head with tools and techniques with screenwriting. It's so overwhelming, the world of theory. When I do a lot of like free writing, I would just, new ideas would come up, feelings would come up, and then I'd be like, oh, that's great. I'm going to put that into the story. So yeah, so I just from there, so I owe a lot to Jess because she just reminded me of what was already in me. Like, I didn't necessarily need to go to film school to learn that. Like, it was really funny that was my journey of 2.5 years at, you know, a great film school, but I had to come back to myself, you know?
Yeah, and I find that's like really important. Like, there's so much I want to unpick in that. What I find really interesting is like, you know, say with a short film, like I rarely hear people doing 10 drafts, which just goes to show like Gorgo is like an amazing short film. The script as well is just so textured and layered. So when you say you did 10 drafts, it's like, and I know those 10 drafts would have been like thorough and like gone through a lot. Yeah. But you to even go to that extra step of like someone was giving you advice that you intuitively knew that it wasn't right for you, and getting that external source. It's just going that extra mile in all the capacities, but then you've reaped rewards from it because it's such a beautiful short film. And just seeing that process of where you got to with it, it's just you can see it in your work for sure.
Thank you. It changed so many times, but I think it needed to go through that process in order to find the story we wanted to tell. And you know, and it was hard. Like it's not easy writing about a woman who loses her agency and her voice moving from another country. So there were moments where I did have to like step away and just be like, I need to detach from this for a little bit. Also having that acting background, you become so like empathetic and attached to your characters. Where it started was like, she ended up like becoming a snake in the first few drafts. And then we were like, wait, one, we don't have the budget to do that. And two, like, is that what we're trying to say? Because her name's Medusa, the character. And yeah, it got to a point at the end where we're like, no, okay, the story we want to tell is, can sisterhood survive in a culture of oppression? And so we had to make it about that sisterhood, and we had to make about like what really happened to those women during that time. It was that they had no way out. So whereas we actually had some feedback from script mentors from AFTRS, were like, no, she's got to become empowered. She's got to go become a lawyer, like leave her Greek husband and Greek life. And then my director and I were both like, that never happened. So we actually didn't have the ending for a really long time. It was up until like the 10th draft, we're like, how is this going to end? Like, because every ending we found of her, like whether it be leaving or like, I don't know, just some other ending that we had just did not work. And then we're like, she has to stay and she has to go back just being a housewife. Like that is the ending. But it took 10 drafts to get to that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's so beautiful because it's like you had all this experience with like going to, you know, ACA and then AFTRS and having these kind of like, and also doing the theatre company in it as well.
Yeah.
But what's been interesting is like the script almost reflects where you were kind of at as well. It's like, obviously you get told all this like amazing like structure and like, you know, the process of like how you're meant to write, but then you going through this process with this specific short film is like, oh no, I just need to listen to me and what I need to do. And like, I feel like for any advice is usually the best thing you can do because you know the story that you're talking about.
Yes, you have everything already within you. And like, I feel like we pay amazing, you know, talent in this industry and script editors, like we pay them to tell us that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's something I'm starting to realize. It's like, because you do need to invest in your craft. Like, and I'm someone who is never satisfied, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, maybe to a fault sometimes. But I do realize that whenever I do like a short course in writing again, or when I want to go and work with a new coach on something, they always say the same thing, like in the subtext, which is like, it's in you already. You know? Yeah. But sometimes you just need that external energy to just kind of help pull it out of you.
Yeah. I always find like questions are usually the best ways because someone's like, oh, so what happened to this character in Act 2? And you're like, oh, I don't know where they went in Act 2. Yeah. So I always find they're really helpful.
I agree with that because Years ago I did Developing the Developer with Screen Australia. And for people who don't know what that is, it's like story development. There's people in our industry that run that. They are called like developing executives or developing producers. So they do all the like creating the story up until before production. And I had a really amazing teacher there, but she's also an amazing like story producer and producer of many incredible shows in Australia. But she said to us, like, lead from behind. And what she meant was ask the right questions. So to your point, like, I often find like the best notes that you get on anything is, oh, okay, so yeah, what happened to that character in Act 2? Where did they go? Or like, what are they up to at that moment? You know, it's like, and you've got to read between that. Rather than like, it's not working.
Yeah, because we went a little bit into the rituals and how that really like brought out the heart in what you did.
Yeah.
What, do you have any other practices? Like, do you have kind of like a routine that you get into? Like, because obviously that discipline came from AFTRS and being able to like kind of meet deadlines and things like that.
Yeah.
But say for your own work that doesn't necessarily have a deadline, how do you structure that?
That's a great question. I always feel like I love a good deadline. I think for me, I always need to start with character building first, more than I like plot or world. And so my practice is when I'm not at my desk. I don't know if that, like, I go for a lot of long walks and I keep a notes app on my phone.
There's something about long walks. Like, I tell everyone, I'm like, guys, I just need to go for a walk. And they're like, why are you walking for an hour? Like, guys, it's just, it's almost, I find it spiritual in a way, for sure.
It's very spiritual. Well, I feel like when you distract yourself, your subconscious is working.
Yeah.
And it's still connecting to the story that you want to tell. So whether it be like a long walk or an artist date of some sort, like Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way talks about this.
Have you done the whole book?
I have, yeah.
So good. Highly recommend for anyone that wants to try it, because
I know
that changed my life, that book.
When I'm curious to know, like, how did you feel before and then after doing that?
For me, it was like, because I did it during lockdown. So again, like that thing of like nothing else to do, but I need structure. So I like planned it out in terms of like, okay, this is my time where I do Julia Cameron's book, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it really made me think outside the box, because it was like the stream of consciousness every morning was just a ritual that just...
Morning pages are great,
And you think, you're like, me writing my subconscious every morning, like what? Like writing 3 pages. You're like, I've got nothing to say, but even just writing, I have nothing to say, and then something else will come through.
Yeah.
I found that ritual really therapeutic, but also, my mind would just go in like so many different places. The artist date as well. And how that can be explored in so many different ways. What did you find the most beneficial exercise in that?
Oh gosh, I think so. I found myself going to libraries a lot. Like, in terms of like the artist date, I'll come back to that, but like I just had this, so I spent a lot of time, it inspired me to go to libraries and just delve into like a lot of like history and like mythology, because mythology is something I love to write. And sometimes I would spend hours just reading and and suddenly I'd just get all these ideas. But I wasn't like working on the script. Like I wasn't script writing. I was doing something so far away from what the task was.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, it's really important to do that sometimes, is go as far away as possible, because then you get a stimulus or like some sort of idea.
Because even sometimes a single word can just be like, unlock something so profoundly.
Yes.
And it is those like moments going for a walk, going to the library, or your artist dates. Like, what is your artist date that kind of evokes that as well?
And going to art galleries a lot, just spending time looking at art, or just... Because film is so visual, it's like, I don't know, just being in other visual mediums are just as inspiring. Yeah. So, but there's something I took from the artist date, which is Julia, I think it's in the earlier chapters of her book, which is her creative affirmations. And that really opened my eyes up into like, oh, what she's trying to teach people is like, because a lot of people think that they're not creative, or they have these limiting self-beliefs. I think for me, maybe it was like I had to suffer to be an artist, because it's that thing of like, I've got to work hard to the bone, work myself out so hard, and then I've earned it, you know? So I actually recorded her creative affirmations, and I like, even this year, like I would listen to them as I walk in the morning, like after I come back from the gym or something like that. And I realized like that kind of work is just as important as doing the work, because it's also about your mindset. Yeah, how you go into the work.
It's interesting because the way you say about affirmations as well, this is like an observation that I've seen, is that usually the limiting belief that we have the most is actually our biggest strength.
Yeah.
And I found like, I remember like one of my really good friends, they didn't think they were creative whatsoever. And she was like one of the most creative beings I've ever met. And I was just like, how do you think you're not creative? And it was just like mind-boggling. But sometimes we have these circumstances like throughout our life where it's just like ingrained that little niggle, and then it just gets bigger over time.
Yeah.
But it's just unpicking that slowly to be like, oh no, like, you know, for this specific friend, I am creative, I am able to do X, Y, and Z kind of thing. So I always find that really interesting.
It sounds like it's like reframing what you think is a limiting belief or a weakness, but seeing it as a strength. That's very beautiful. Yeah.
And actually, I remember when I did research about you, even though like obviously we're friends, but I was like, I'll do my due diligence. Yes. And Michael Fitzgerald he was a writer in Harper's Bazaar.
Yes. Yeah.
And he said, as a writer and performer, you really marry vulnerability with strength. And I thought that was worded so beautifully in terms of like, that just echoes you so profoundly. And that, I don't know, it was just these two words that like go so well with what you do.
I mean, he's a gorgeous writer. He's also someone I did an interview with on another film I'm working on. But I spoke a lot to him about Brené Brown, actually. So, and like Brené Brown is all about vulnerability and reframing what that means for a lot of people and seeing that as a strength. And I think actually she's been like one of my idols, but like just really fortifying that inside of myself. It is something, you know, whenever like you're given an exercise, but like whether like you're building a business or, you know, even your own work, like is what are your values? For me, my top 5, one of them is always vulnerability, always. And so maybe that leads me down paths of like oversharing sometimes, but also vulnerability is also having boundaries too.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So definitely he captured that really well.
And what are your other 4?
Oh, so vulnerability, truth, authenticity, collaboration, and I think it was community. Yeah. Because I always find I've spent a lot of my life trying to find community. Because I find community in people, like one-on-one.
Yeah.
But I've always like craved like having more of a like a tribe and a pack. And and a filmmaking community as well.
You said you were working on, I'm going to butcher it, Curse of a Virgin.
Yes.
Okay, cool, beautiful.
Yes,
Curse of a Virgin. You started working in 2017.
Yeah.
Tell me about this, because I feel like sometimes people who aren't filmmakers don't realize how long making something takes. So 2017, that's what, 7 years ago?
Yes.
And you've been writing that probably on and off this whole time.
Yeah.
Where are you currently at with it now?
As more as the years go by, I'm still working on it, but I think it doesn't matter. It's one of those projects where, you know, if you know you want to do it right, because you know it means something. But so the journey of that it's just been through so many iterations. Like it's had a lot of like, since 2017, like different kinds of writers' rooms and brainstorming. And then I think it wasn't until, 2019, our EP, Arts and Cultural Exchange, they had something called a Digital Diasporas Initiative, which was like funding short filmmakers to make a proof of concept for a web series. And so we did that to kind of find and test the tone of Curse, which is a supernatural cringe comedy, which is a lot of fun. And I'm so glad we did that, because it was about finding the tone. And then since then, it just took a while for me to find my team, because, you know, wearing a lot of hats of like being the writer, showrunner, but also producing it. I also needed to find other producers who knew more things about producing than I did, because it's better to work with people who are better than you. Yeah, and I needed to find a team, I needed to find other writers. And so it wasn't until like last year we applied for Screen Australia funding for online. And yeah, and we got the funding to write a Bible and a pilot. And so the reason why it took so long is because it was like a Greek diaspora story, but it also has African diaspora representation in it. So that meant a lot to me. I was like, I want to find the right people to tell this story. And no matter how many people I kept meeting in the industry, like it was my gut feeling all the time. I was like, no, you're not the right fit. You're not the right fit. And honestly, that's why it's taken so long. And so it wasn't until we got the funding last year where I was able to find a really great team. And so right now where we're at with it is we've got a great pilot, we've got a great like episodes, like it's 7x7 episode breakdown. And so I'm just writing a few more episodes before we go in for production funding. So, and we hope to shoot next year.
Because I feel like it's one of those things that like finding the right collaborators is like such an important aspect, because if you don't have that trust,
yes,
you just know when someone is the right collaborator. And like when you know, I don't know if you're the same, but when you've done projects in the past and you're just like, this wasn't right, you know, this wasn't a right fit, I feel like sometimes it can do more harm than good.
Well, yeah, no, I did have an experience with that, a moment where I was working with someone that I knew was not the right fit, and I'm so glad that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I had to go through that journey though. Only just recently moving to Melbourne as well. Like our script editor is here, and she's the best. Like she's the perfect person to be script editing Curse, because anyway, she comes from like a Polish background, and she really connected with the themes of the show because it's about purity narratives, and she connected to that with her family. And so it took us like years to find even just the right script editor. But I had to be here in Melbourne and be present in order to find that person. So I think that's why I've just like really accepted the journey, which is I've been at the right place, the right time for everything.
So you've got Curse of a Virgin. Gorgo is still doing a bit, maybe like 6 months more of its festival run.
Yeah.
What other projects have you got in the like
pipeline?
Pipeline? How's it going in that aspect?
I've got 2 more features at the moment. So a big one I've been working on the last couple of years is 2 Moons. And 2 Moons is with Co-Curious, which is a production company in Sydney. And we have the amazing Fadia Aboud attached to direct, other way around. She did House of Gods and a whole bunch of amazing TV shows. So 2 Moons is like an off-kilter sci-fi drama, we're calling it. And that came through again, another initiative of like finding underrepresented filmmakers from Western Sydney. And it was 5 of us, 5 writers writing a feature film. It's wild. Like who would think of that? But it's kind of like a Magnolia meets Don't Look Up vibe. And so we've been developing that over the last 2 years, and then and we have a shoot date set for next year. So that's super exciting.
Well, mid-year, beginning of the year?
March, we're hoping.
March, amazing. That's so exciting.
Yes, and 2 Moons is a really special project because Co-Curious is a company which is known for doing like anthology stories, and like ours is not an anthology. It's like we are a cohesive genre film, but there's 5 writers telling the same story. So and that's why it's a really exciting project. And then my other feature is I just got the Originate Genre initiative.
Which is with Screen Vic here, which is a agency here in Victoria.
Yes, Vic Screen.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was so thrilled about that. And so that is a fantasy comedy feature. It's called Inner Beast, which is essentially about a woman embracing her inner beast at a rewilding retreat in Melbourne.
Just love. So good.
Yeah. That she actually becomes it throughout the film. We've had a writer's lab already for that, with an amazing UCLA tutor that's come out. And then the next 6 months I'll be just writing a feature on my own and expected to deliver by like January, which is a bit scary because Two Moons was such a collaborative experience of 5 writers working on the same thing, so we were sharing ideas, whereas Inner Beast is now like, it's just me. Like, I have to make decisions on my own. Like, no.
I know, like, I have to deliver this by January.
Yes, yeah.
But then I feel like it's like almost getting that afters, like, you know, I had to do this short story and I had to deliver this on Tuesday. And it's kind of like a similar thing. Obviously, it's a bigger beast. Yes. But no, I think you'll be great. You'll be good. You got a deadline, you'll be great.
No, it'll be good. I think one thing I realized is I think I'm the kind of writer who has to go away and just do a burst of work, like a burst of energy.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you know how, you know, some people have a schedule of like, I'm going to wake up every morning and write for an hour, or I'm going to, you know, have a day a week where I write. Generally, I've tried to do that and it has worked sometimes, but it's not as effective as like an intensive period for me. Yep. And so I feel like, and I realized this recently, like just flying back and forwards from Sydney and Melbourne because my family's in Sydney, like I had this thought on the plane one day, which is like, I just need to plan retreats for the rest of my life. So I can,
so you can just go do an intensive part of writing. Yeah, amazing.
Legit, Hayley. Like, I'm like, and I'm already thinking of like, I'm already thinking of trying to schedule my life around retreats because it's just I don't know, it's just the best way that I work is that focus time, no distractions. Because when you're at home and writing, there's many distractions.
You can do so many things.
Yes.
Too many things.
Too many things, yeah. And
do you sometimes go to a cafe?
I do,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I like noise, white noise around me.
Same. Yeah. I love other people being on laptops as well.
Yes.
Because I'm like, oh, we're all in this together. Even though you're literally writing your own thing in your own space.
I know, yeah. So I love that. But I think I want to try and, just experiment more with like bursts of work and see where that goes, because it worked for me with Inner Beast when I applied for that initiative. Like, it was like really hard. I think a week before I just focused so hard on it, and then that came out of it. And I was like, that's what I need to do. Like, rather than stress, because so many people stress, get so hard on themselves that they're not working on their craft every day.
Yeah.
But honestly, you're working on your craft by being in the world, living and observing people, talking to people, you know, eavesdropping on conversations. Best thing I love doing on the street.
So good, so fun.
Yeah.
For a closing question.
Yes.
What do you, if there's maybe like a quote or even a question or something that you feel new and upcoming filmmakers, like you would like to say or give advice on, or what question they should pose, what do you feel like that is? As
multi-hyphenates, which is inevitable because, you know, there's a quote by America Ferrera, which I really love, who did like Ugly Betty and Barbie, that beautiful monologue everyone always talks about. She talks about leadership, I think, because she has her own company in leadership. And I think as a creative, as a creator, what a lot of people don't realize is that requires a level of leadership, right? We have to lead. And so she has this quote about like, she can't lead or do everything that she does without all the parts of her. And for a while, you know, I was always wrestling with, am I an actor? Am I a writer? Sometimes, am I a producer? Like, you know, and then you get a lot of people in this industry who want to nail you down, who want to go like, okay, no, but which one are you?
Yeah, like, who are you? So you do this, but you also do that?
Yes. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Right? Where can I place you?
Yeah. Where can I pigeonhole you?
Yes, exactly. And I really wrestled with that in my own identity, for like even probably to today. But her quote I always go back to, because she's, you know, done so many great things and now she's a producer and all this sort of stuff. But it's like, yes, you can't do the work without all the parts of you. You just can't. And I think instead of seeing like that as like an inhibition, I think to like emerging creatives, like if you want to write and direct something, go for it. Try it. You know, see if it works out. You know, if you want to do all three, great. You know, if you want to do a podcast as well, great. You know, it's like, what are you giving back to the world that is all of you? You know, not what someone is trying to fit you in. So I always come back to that when it gets a little bit messy in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect ending.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the
you,
podcast. I really appreciate it. And let's cheers again.
Cheers, cheers.
Yay. We finally did it. Beautiful.